Jack it up. Jack it up. Jack it up. Jack it up.
Yep. All right, good morning, everyone. It is 9:30. I'm going to call our meeting to order. Note that we have a quorum. Before we start our Pledge of Allegiance, Chief, if you would introduce Deputy Chief Young to lead us in the allegiance, although I don't know that he really needs an introduction, but we would welcome it.
He is such a man that doesn't like fanfare, but I would like for you to stand and be recognized. Just stand while I read this about you. I'm going to pay for that later. Deputy Chief Young today will be leading the Pledge of Allegiance. Today is his last Board of Police Commissioners meeting. Deputy Chief Young will be retiring at the end of September. KCPD will be losing a valuable member. Deputy Chief Steve Young has had a distinguished career, being placed in several highly trusted positions, such as the Media Unit Commander, the Commander of the Intelligence Division, the Patrol Bureau Executive Officer. He has served as liaison for our labor groups, and he has been the Executive Officer for 2 Chiefs of Police, that was Chief Forte, and myself. Deputy Chief Steve Young is highly regarded as a man of integrity, fairness, loyalty. He is reliable, trustworthy, and always exhibits an unwavering measure of calm in any situation. He is a friend and a mentor of countless members here at KCPD, and I'm certain he has no idea of how much of an impact he has had on this organization and the people he has helped along the way. Deputy Chief Young and I have had somewhat parallel careers where I have been his subordinate in 4 different assignments. May God bless you. He was the first person I spoke to about putting in for Chief of Police. He has always been an encourager and a truth teller. I'm forever grateful to have had him by my side, serving the members of our department with his level of commitment and his love for KCPD. While we still have several weeks together, Deputy Chief Steve Young, I wish you the best on your retirement. Well-deserved, and I'm thankful your 2 sons, who are now KCPD police officers, will carry on your legacy here at the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. And as a small token of my appreciation, I would like to present the Chief's coin to Deputy Chief Steve Young after he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we join? Mayor, I'd ask for your designee if you have one today.
Looking out, and I was about to say Prosecutor Melissa Johnson, but I realized that she is vastly more powerful now than her former position. So it appears we do not have one for today, and we're happy to defer to our friends from Jackson County.
Very well. Prosecutor Johnson, I'll turn the floor over to you. Thank you for being with us again this morning.
My pleasure. Good morning, President Whitaker. Commissioners, I've seen some familiar faces. Welcome back to Commissioner Hall. Of course, Chief Gray, and to the entire department. Of course, we've had a couple of rough weeks. The loss of 2 young people under the age of 18 in 2 consecutive weeks. And while our community continues to reel with the weight of that, I know, like you all know, some of the people that carry the most of that weight are the individuals in this room. And so wanting to send everybody encouragement and uplift as we continue to pursue these investigations and hopefully achieve a measure of justice for the families affected. On a higher note, I do want to give a shout out to all of the KCPD officers who make Save KC our focused deterrent strategy possible. Of course, that includes Chief Stacy Graves, Deputy Chief Joe Mabin, Captain John Failer, Sergeant Nick Sola, and the entire gang intelligence squad, Sergeant Ashley McCunough, Major Kari Thompson, and Officer Luther Young. Their partnership is the backbone of this program. And at our August board meeting, we received some statistics about where we are with Save KC that were extremely encouraging. We've been at this for about a year and 4 months or so, reviving focused deterrence. And so I want to share a couple of these statistics with you. Group-related homicides involving identified violent group members are down 40% compared to this time last year. Non-fatal shootings involving those individuals are down 62%. Overall, victims of non-fatal shootings are down right around 32 to 34%. And incidents involving multiple non-fatal shooting victims have dropped 46% compared to this time last year. And non-fatal shooting incidents involving Save KC identified individuals have decreased 23%. And right now, we currently have about 38 individuals deemed closely connected to violence that are actively engaged with our services subcommittee through Save KC. And these numbers matter because they represent those that we are actively steering away from violence. And I know that big picture, our statistics, we have a lot of work to do, but Save KC is very narrowly tailored to focus on group-oriented violence. And as you see from these numbers, we are seeing some drastic improvements as it pertains to group-oriented violence. And the reason why this is important is because when individuals choose to engage and continue to engage in a life of violence, they have to know that, yes, there will be consequences. On one hand, we want to offer help. We want to help you restore your life. But on the other hand, if you choose to ignore those offers, we have to do what we have to do. And just this past month, we charged 3 individuals in a series of shootings that occurred between July 12th and July 13th. We actually just filed additional charges late last week to this group of individuals. Shots, according to the probable cause statement, shots were fired into occupied homes, some with juveniles inside between those dates, damaging 5 houses and 4 vehicles. In total, 137 shell casings were recovered from these incidents, all linked to the same weapons. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but obviously these actions can put entire families at risk, and we must curb it before it continues. So we were really happy to see our office be able to file charges on that group of individuals deemed to be responsible for these incidents. And so, of course, I want to continue to thank KCPD for your partnership, for your commitment to not only Save KC, but to all of the other initiatives we are working on. And lastly, for my remarks, in the month of July, still with a decent amount of cases still pending review, we charged 63% of all cases submitted to us, which is up from 41% in January when I started. And so we're still seeing an uptick in that metric. And with that, I will open it up to any questions.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Prosecutor Johnson, thanks as always for your work. One question that I consider every time we deal with these shootings involving youth and sometimes youth offenders is where and how they get access to firearms. And I know we've worked on this in our past professional experiences before, but it still perplexes me. Typically, have you found, and do your assistant prosecutors find with the work of KCPD and others, are they coming from other individuals, friends, mentors, and others? Are there other sources for them? I just continue to wonder where teens and preteens are regularly getting access.
We're seeing a little bit of all of the above, unfortunately. Theft is another thing that I would add to that list, going into different cars and confiscating firearms. And so for our community members that are watching, please take your guns out of your vehicles when you are in entertainment districts, when you are parked in your driveway at home, unfortunately. I do think that that will help curb some of the proliferation of guns, but we also do still see a lot of street sales as well, changing hands pretty frequently and selling them far below fair market value. And so we have a gun problem in Jackson County that is definitely affecting our young people. And so I am hopeful in years ahead that we are able to see us be able to curb some of that activity.
Two other quick points. One, I want to commend you on your appointment of Murray Woodard at Combat. It is a vital resource that has worked with this community for some time. I know it's been supportive both of this department, but a number of community efforts, and so we look forward to working with him on that. I will also note the president has appointed, the Senate has confirmed, a new United States attorney for this district. I know that you work well with everyone, it seems, and so I'll look forward to the collaboration with his office and certainly all of our county prosecutors' offices. They reached out for a meeting. My recommendation will just be to tell them to talk to you.
Yep, they've reached out to a meeting with me as well.
That's good.
And so I'm looking forward to sitting down and really getting that working relationship off to a great start.
That's outstanding. Well, thank you, ma'am.
I would say the appointee attended a recent shoot review.
Oh, outstanding.
And he was introduced to the whole team here at KCP.
Outstanding.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having him.
Seeing no additional questions, I will see you all next month. But in the interim, please do not hesitate to let me know if there's anything I can do for you.
And likewise, if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. Great, thank you.
If I could just comment really quickly on Save KC, I am thankful for Prosecutor Johnson's leadership in that role. As we all sit at the table, it's nice that everyone is forward moving. We're on the same page. We're on the same mindset. We all have the drive to continue those efforts. And we've met challenges along the way, and they're just bumps in the road, and we keep on moving. So it's really nice being in that room, sitting at that board, and just being in with like minds, that unification of all those different agencies and people in the room. I'm telling you, those numbers were great. The numbers that you pointed out are just a show of the efforts that's going on in that room. And not just in that room, but the people out here that are doing the work.
If I may, while the prosecutor can still hear us, something that I think the city continues to owe, following on the conversation that the chief shared, both crime prevention through environmental design, but also a lot of our incidents happen in unprogrammed spaces. Parking lots, parks, other places where we've had a number of nuisance calls and incidents where we regularly see congregations. We're doing all we can, working with Lace Klein in my office and others, through both our chronic nuisance board, and for the board you may not know, we have a chronic nuisance ordinance. We've tried to put more teeth into it because what we were seeing over years with a few tragedies, particularly 5-7 and Prospect some years ago, was that PD responded to that situation, I believe, dozens, if not almost north of 72 separate times. Officers often report those to neighborhood associations complain, but there isn't really follow-on action, either to business bad actors or the geographic space itself. We're trying to be more active through our neighborhoods department and others to work more closely with KCPD earlier, our county prosecutor and others to make sure that those ongoing problems don't remain. Because as we've seen from past presentations on risk, terrain modeling, and others, a lot of those things are all in the same spaces, and there are a lot of people that can be solutions to it. So we promise our ongoing work with both of your agencies to make sure we keep doing that.
Well, we'll keep reaching out. I know that the park rangers even have been looped in with some of their, making sure that there's parts of our city that are safe, specifically like you just named.
Chief, please.
Kind of echoing Prosecutor Johnson, since we last met, we have had the lives of 2 Kansas City teens taken by violence. And I want to assure you our department is working hard to prevent violence, making attempts to intervene before violence occurs, and enforcing on those who harm Kansas Cityans. And this type of violence, especially when we see with youth, is indicative of, a culture of violence that we really need to stop here in Kansas City. And I feel like a broken record, but it takes all of us, a citywide approach to violent crime, to really make a sustaining impact, which we're doing with Save KC and just working closely with the city and our community partners. We're pouring into our Kansas City youth and our Police Athletic League outreach opportunities, partnerships, and recruiting strategies to ensure we are part in setting up the next generation for a safer, successful Kansas City. And today you'll hear about a recent trip to Washington, D.C., where officers took a group to learn, explore, and provide an enriching experience in Washington, D.C., to see new places and see themselves as leaders with great potential to simply do good in the world. I think sometimes when you get outside of Kansas City or outside of a space that you're used to and you see new things, it kind of opens your eyes up, especially as youth, to different possibilities. So we're definitely doing that work here in Kansas City. KCPD continues to engage in all parts of our city. Our officers attended several night out against crime events, engaging with residents and community leaders. We met with domestic violence outreach agencies recently to discuss even more ways we can reach victims and abusers before violence escalates. We also provided assistance at the Unidos U.S. conference to organizers who were thankful for our presence and engagement. And lastly, I had the honor of swearing in the 184th entrant officer class as 35 new officers hit the streets just this week here in Kansas City. And I also swore in 3 lateral officers who are joining them on their first week, for a total of 38 new Kansas City, Missouri police officers in the last week. And yesterday, I welcomed a new class, the 186th entrant officer class of 32 new recruits. And if you're paying attention and asking where the 185th entrant officer class is, they will be graduating on November the 20th and are currently at 38 recruits. We are building back. Thank you to the Board of Police Commissioners for your presence, your engagement, and your support.
Thank you, Chief. Maybe just an observation, and then you can react to it. Those are great numbers as we grow both the sworn officers and our professional. Is that putting strain on other parts of the organization? Looking at big classes, that's more people going through the academy. That's more cars on the street. That's more radios and things like that. I just, to get your reaction, would be interested in knowing what are the other consequences of these growing numbers.
So I'd say the other consequences is a conversation we had last week with our academy staff needing additional members to make sure that we are providing the reps to some of those card checks, ped checks, some of those reps to make sure that we are giving them enough practice in being safe when they go out and to do police work out on the streets of Kansas City. Also, when we're looking at our budget, we're currently budgeted for 1,258 officers. We're pushing up on that number. Right now we have 1,132 if you count the recruits in the academy. We have not been over 1,100. Here and there, it's ebbed and flowed, but not sustaining that and getting closer to that 1,200 number. That being said, when this next class graduates and we bring in another one in January, we're going to be pushing up against that funding number. So as we look into the budget for next year, that's being taken into consideration. Cars, we're working on that with the car bond, and also ensuring that we're providing safe vehicles for our officers. There's a bunch of different ways that hits, but we'll take those hits and we'll keep on going because this is what we need to do. We need to build back. Once we start, if we were to get to that 1,400 number, whether or not I'm still the chief of police, I would think that we would need to up that number to 1,500. I've said that when I walked in the door, but first things first, we just got to get up to that 1,408 number and make sure that we're providing the best police service. The more police officers you have on the street, the more opportunities you have for additional patrols. You can bring back specific units. the last board meeting we had, the DARE officers here, that's one of those hard choices that a police chief has to make. And prior to me, there was a difficult decision of the amount of patrol. And, you see those as our numbers go low, but you'll also see us building back, like bringing back all the police officers to really respond to the population here down in the downtown area, the growth, and just making sure that some of the areas of our city are safe. It's a
Thank you for that.
long-winded answer.
Well, no, it's a complicated problem. It's a good problem to have, but in times of growth, it can illustrate where there are other needs as well. So it sounds like you're thinking out ahead of it, so that's appreciated. Anything else? Deputy Chief Niemeyer?
Good morning. The items for the Investigations Bureau are under tab A in your book. But before I start this morning, I'd like to say congratulations to a few people. Sergeant Andy Dorothy was a sergeant for the KCPD Gang Squad, and he retired last Friday with 31 years. I say that because Sergeant Dorothy and I were homicide partners back in the day for several years, and I just want to thank Andy. He put in a lot of work for a lot of years and gave a lot to KCPD. And last month I talked about Major Cobanall. Major Cobanall's last day is tomorrow. So I know he's watching right now. Thank you, Martin, for everything you've done for KCPD. And also I want to say congratulations to Deputy Chief Steve Young. He was my classmate in the 94th EOC, and there's not very many of us left. So congratulations to you. Yeah. All right, first, I'd like to have you see a presentation from our Career Criminal Unit, which is under the Special Investigations Division. I talk about the Special Investigations Division a lot in our case updates when we have Investigations Bureau. So Captain Kelly Clark is Major James Buck is over the Special Investigations Division, but Captain Kelly Clark is commander over several units, and then Sergeant Billy Von Wolf will give you a presentation over Career Criminal.
Good morning. Like Niemeyer said, I'm Cap Kelly Clark. I have the privilege of serving as the commander over the Special Investigations Unit. I just want to take a brief moment of valuable time to recognize the outstanding work of the Kansas City Career Criminal Task Force. And that's under the leadership of Sergeant Billy Von Wolf. This unit operates at the forefront of some of the most complex and demanding investigations our department undertakes. In essence, they're the A-team. When nobody else can handle it or take care of it, they come through every time without fail. Their mission is clear: to identify, investigate, and apprehend individuals who repeatedly victimize our community. Under Sergeant Von Wolf's leadership, the task force has built strong partnerships with local, state, and federal partners, as well as prosecutors, ensuring that cases are not only investigated thoroughly, but are also carried out to successful prosecution. The results speak for themselves. Hundreds of chronic offenders over the years have been taken off the streets, reducing violent crime and bringing a greater sense of safety to our neighborhoods. What stands out most is the professionalism and dedication that Sergeant Von Wolf instills in his team. Their work is precise, relentless, and rooted in a broader commitment to fairness and justice. By focusing on repeat offenders, they maximize resources while protecting the community at large. This time, it's my honor to introduce Sergeant Von Wolf, who will provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Cap Clark. Thank you, Colonel Niemeyer, for having me come up here and display and talk about our shop and all the great work that the men and women do in there. Thank you very much for having us. Start at the beginning. Career Criminal started by Eric Greenwell back in 2001. Our job, basically, still to this day, is to prosecute violent career offenders, high-profile fugitives. This would also include investigations such as murder for hire, residential, commercial, bank robbery, serial killers. Essentially, the worst of the worst. Our shop is getting a phone call, and we're glad to participate in helping those serious conversations and cases. Our office is 24/7. Our phones are ringing constantly and all the time, so we're available to help at any time. This also includes high-risk surveillance, that we help all KCPD units and also outside agencies and our partners. I also want to highlight here, if you can see on your screen here, these are just some of the partners that we have sitting in our shop. We have 13 total agencies and departments that help us out on a daily basis, not only in the metro, but with crime fighting in Kansas City, Missouri. We're thankful for all their participation. One of the big tasks and jobs that our office has taken on is electronic surveillance. This includes the tracking of cell phones and devices, social media, phone records, anything related to that type of business, that's our shop. All for KCPD, we do that as well. And if you can see here, just to talk about the increase in that workload for our shop, back in 2021, we served 124 phone orders and/or search warrants for that. Just in the span of those 3-4 years, there are numbers now up to 930 search warrants served by 6 detectives last year. So it has been a large increase and an ask by case detective and also prosecutors to make sure those cases get across the finish line. I also want to talk about the cellular analysis survey team. We are very fortunate here in Kansas City that we have 3 members of those. What that is, those are task force officers and a FBI supervisor that sit with us, and there's only 70 of them in the country, and they are specialist, expert witnesses in the field of electronic surveillance, tracking phones, records, all that. Like I said, we're very fortunate to have them because they are giving our case detectives here at KCPD real-time answers and results for their cases. And there's, like I said, only about 70 total across the whole country. Rigorous certifications for that, and like I said, very fortunate to have them for that. Scrolling down there a little bit more, one of the big things also with this, when we're in electronic surveillance in the phone business, is exigence and threats to life. If you can see here, our phones are ringing for all these incidents listed here: Amber Alerts, kidnappings, school shootings, and child abductions. I would say the biggest increase in the last few years has been the addition of the 988 crisis line and also the VA crisis line. This is a very serious, and it is a lot of work for our shop, and it's only because these are the most serious cases over the people that need help the most. And we have a great working relationship with 988 and appreciate everything they do to help us and get these individuals help. And to show the increase as well in these people that need help and these serious situations and threat to life, in 21 we had 48 total cases where we were running out the door at any hour of the day to help these people out. Last year we had 121. So those numbers are unfortunately increasing, but again, with our shop, everybody we have sitting there, we're there to tackle whatever's needed. I want to talk real fast about a program that started in 2020 as an initiative with the FBI. It's called the HALO program. What that is, it is to actively pursue subjects in the Kansas City metropolitan area who are suspected in multiple homicides and or shootings, multiple, who possibly were not prosecuted, in order to proactively reduce violent crime in the community. So that means somebody on a case that is available that is still doing violence in our city. We have identified them. They are still actively involved in violence. We proactively work towards building a case on them and get them off our streets for our community. This is in cooperation with the U.S. Attorney's Office, Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. We also include state and federal probation and parole. So it's a collaborative effort where we all get together and we identify these subjects. Since 2020, we have had 5 rounds of this, of 3 to 5 individuals for each round of these subjects that we've identified. And like I said, since 2020, and just for an example, the first 2 waves that we had of HALO targets, all 10 of those subjects were prosecuted and either sentenced in state or federal court. They were suspected in 35 homicides. And I just wanted to highlight one case that our shop worked on last year in conjunction with Sergeant Horalick and our robbery unit. The robbery unit identified a crew of commercial robbers who did over 50 armed robberies. This involved actively assaulting the victims there at the businesses, rifles pointed at the victims, very serious crimes that they were repeatedly doing. This is what our task force is made for and to do. For approximately 2 weeks, we conducted surveillance about 18 hours a day on these individuals by all means necessary. At that last day, we were able to observe them commit an armed robbery at a gas station. And with cooperation from our KCPD SWAT team, we were able to get them into custody without incident. The first individual who we would like to say was the main suspect in that. He was charged with 33 robberies and currently awaiting trial. These are just some of our surveillance photos. If you can take a look at these individuals that were just walking around carrying these high-capacity firearms. And I also want to highlight Shiloh. I'm sure a lot of you guys know Shiloh, ATF dog, assigned to an agent in our office. We say this all the time, Shiloh is the most popular person in our task force. Firearm specialties, and you can see she located the firearm in the basement of the residence where those subjects ran to. One thing I want to take a minute here, because I have this platform, I can recognize those in the shop for all the great things that the men and women do in our shop. First, I want to start by saying out of the 56 field offices in the FBI, the Violent Crimes Task Force here in the Kansas City office, these guys and gals earned a high performing or gold status for their fiscal year performance. What that means, top 5 in the FBI for performing violent crimes crew. So very impressive. In 2024, our task force total had 348 arrests. And background in regards to my next line there with the bank robbery suspects. So if there is a bank robbery in the Kansas City metro area, usually a FBI TFO or FBI agent is tasked with going out to assist those local agencies and or take the case if it presents itself for federal charges. We have gone out on 38 bank robberies in the last 5 years. Out of that, we've arrested and identified 37. And then just in closing here, just some of the high-profile cases. I know Designee Myers mentioned some of these in here over the last few board meetings, but just an example of the work across the country and mainly here in Kansas City that the task force is doing and helping keep everybody safe. I just want to put a picture up of all the crew. Again, they sacrifice time with family, friends, loved ones, kids' sports to be here and help out the community. So very thankful and appreciative of every one of them. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you go back to that one picture? Yes. So that's the task force.
Yes, it is. Not every member can make it this day, but it's a good snapshot of most of the crew.
So about 15 or 20. And that's working 24/7.
Yes, we do have some work chains, obviously, text chains,
Right.
and I think right now it's sitting at 79 people on there. So it's active all the time, and like I said, these people drop everything and drop of a hat to come out and help out.
Thank you for that. I have a question. I am not surprised by that steep increase in the number of cellular warrants that are out there for cellular records. How are you all approaching social media? I mean, is there someone or a team that's analyzing? Because, people talk and people go out and do digital communications on various platforms that might help us get the guy or the girl. How do you all work that into your approach to the career criminal?
Yeah, so in our shop, like I mentioned, the TFOs and the FBI supervisor that are on the CAS team, they have all great working relationships with Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, all of those agencies. So if there is something that we have a question about or we need to require information, we have those contacts. We make a call and they say, hey, I see what you're trying to get. You need to submit a search warrant for that to obtain that information, and then we go about that route. So we built good relationships with those agencies and businesses to where they tell us, what we can do and what legal process you need to do to get that information.
Just a quick follow-up, because I would think that's beyond the cellular device, but actually into their account, their Facebook or whatever the social media platform, but having some access into seeing what's going on there. Is that true?
We submit stuff directly to Facebook, okay? So for example, like if we were wanting information about something that was posted or something like that, we would submit legal process or a search warrant through, say, Jackson County, for example. And then from that, we would submit that paperwork to Facebook, and then they would provide us that information. I hope that cleared up your answer.
No, it does. Thank you. I appreciate it.
May I ask, what type of time frame usually is that when working with the social media companies? You'll send the request to them. Is that fulfilled in short order, or is it something that creates more lag?
As you know, they're very busy.
Right.
So what that means is when we submit that paperwork, say it's for an ongoing investigation, not an exigent investigation and or a threat to life, it usually takes, there's some days to process. We get put on a list, and they processes it at their convenience.
Understood. Because one concern, and I don't know if it's something you or I can solve, many of our citizens have concern with why does it take so long? Why, when they think they know information, is there a delay? And it seems as if our social media partners and technology partners could be part of expediting some of that. But I also recognize they have a substantial volume. That may be a space for us to investigate at a different point. But
Yeah, I will say here in Kansas City that we have a very good working relationship with them. In my 4 years here at this position, I've come to realize that a lot of these social media companies, for the legal process and these type of examples, they hire former law enforcement officers. So they understand the process. So if there's something where we have a case that we need to move things along, high risk, high violence, we can make a courtesy call there. And sometimes they say, hey, we can make that happen. Or sometimes they say, sorry, we're very busy and we'll get to it when we can.
thank you.
Before we finish, I just want to say thank you to everybody that, especially we already talked about our federal partners. There's so many people that's made this Career Criminal Task Force come to be what it is today, and that includes all of our prosecutors, and that's not only Jackson County, but Clay County, Platte County, Cass County, prosecutors on the Kansas side, prosecutors' offices, the people that are on our task force go to the Kansas side. It is a well known around the United States that the way we cooperate here in Kansas City, you just don't see it. You don't see it in other parts of the United States. And I know when the chief travels or any of us travel to different venues, that's the one thing they're like, they can't believe that we have all of these people sitting at a table here in Kansas City and working together. So I commend everyone that's on this task force. So thank you, Billy, and thank you, Commander Clark.
If I could also say one more thing about how unique this task force actually is. It's dare I say, a Kansas City-led task force. Where it started out with a KCPD sergeant, and then other agencies lended their folks to us, which usually that happens in the opposite. But because this task force has been so successful, it's grown to the numbers that you see there. And it really takes a high caliber of people to be members and to have a high level of commitment to the work, and also an accurate sense of urgency. That's a good way to put it, yeah. To be able to get up, respond anytime, day or night, know that someone's life is at risk. And really, I would say this is almost just scratching the surface of what you guys really do, the reputation that you have, not only regionally, but also in the United States. So thank you, Sergeant Von Wolf. You are, it takes a special person to lead that squad, and you completely fit that and exceed it. So thank you for all the work that you do for keeping everyone safe. Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to the blue sheet, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on the blue sheet because there's been some questions. But so far in 2025, we've had 101 homicides. We have cleared 49 of those homicides from 2025, 22 from previous years, for a total of 71 cases. That is a 70% clearance rate so far this year. We had 11 homicides in the month of July. But I'm going to turn, and it's not on the screen, but I will turn to the blue sheet, the complete blue sheet that is handed out by Pam Bear to you each day. And I just want you to note that if you look at the bottom of that, it goes along and it tells you each division, and we talk about each division each month, how many we've had in 2025, which is 19 in Central Patrol, 20 in Metro Patrol, 34 in East Patrol, 7 in North Patrol, 13 in South, and 8 in Shoal Creek. A lot of questions have arisen where we stand in comparison, and I've gotten some inquiries about where we are at for the year compared to everyone else in the country. We've talked about this at previous board meetings. I've had Captain Hewitt present at the board meeting from domestic violence. We've had meetings this week with that. And I will just highlight the fact, and it's not a highlight, I need to say, we've had 18 domestic violence homicides this year. That is more than we had all of last year. And when you look at the numbers, and I want to make full circle to what Prosecutor Johnson said, you look at the numbers from each patrol division, and the group violence is down. I saw some of this about how do we analyze? What do we use with our data? Where are we at? Well, if you look at the group violence is down and domestic violence went up. We're always changing what we have to do here on this police department to tackle a certain type of situation. So there's a lot on this blue sheet. There's a lot on this page to be taken in. So I just wanted to make sure that we don't just put up a number and people go, well, we've had one homicide's too many. 101 is way too many. But we do look at these numbers and where we need to do better and where those are coming from. So I just wanted to highlight that slightly on the blue sheet. Breaking down the month of July by division, as you can see in July we had 4 homicides in Center Zone, 4 in Metro, 2 in East, 0 in North Patrol, 1 in South, and 0 in Shoal Creek. We currently have had 5 homicides for the month of August. And again, we talk about this at each board meeting, but I want you to look at when you look at the blue sheet totally, is look at that bottom and keep an eye on that number at the bottom of your blue sheet. Non-fatal shooting comparison report. As of August the 17th, we have had 264 non-fatal shooting victims. In 2024, we had 390 at the same time. We are down 32% as compared to last year. In July of 2025, we had 45 non-fatal shooting victims. In July of 2024, we had 58, which is a 22% decrease. And I would highlight that we have had a decrease in every single month except for the month of June. So case updates this month. I think it's important, and I'm going to talk about what you've been seeing on TV, or what many people have been seeing on TV as quote unquote purple fentanyl. I'll remind the board that about 8 months ago, I had a discussion about this, and I brought it to the board's attention and more so to the public's attention. This was, it was not purple fentanyl, but it was fentanyl that had xylazine we had tested, and xylazine is Narcan resistant. That was 8 months ago we talked about that. Now this is a fentanyl that was with lidocaine, and it is Narcan resistant. Fentanyl, no matter what, is bad. Fentanyl in general is bad. There's been some reports of where this fentanyl is sourced out of. This fentanyl is not necessarily sourced out of Kansas City. It's not produced here. It may have been transported from here. But what I would like to say to people in the public is fentanyl is deadly. We have worked really hard in Kansas City to stop the flow of fentanyl. We have worked really hard to prosecute people who a death has occurred because of taking fentanyl. And I told the board about how our overdose deaths has gone down in the past couple years. They were very high. We put together a group that focused just on that. So I just wanted to address, and if anybody had questions about what they've been seeing, fentanyl's bad. Whether it has lidocaine, xylazine is the cutter in it, those are things that are going to be resistant, and it should be known to the public that those are Narcan resistant things. But there are other things out there, and they will change, as we go along. So I just wanted to address that since it's been in the news, and if you have any questions about that, I'll try to answer those. But with that, subject to your questions, that concludes my report.
Maybe a couple follow-up. Did you have anything, Mayor?
Just a very brief one, because I don't say it all the time. Thank you. That was an insightful presentation. You taught us a good deal both on the domestic violence issue and the fentanyl issue. hope the public listens to both, because we get a lot of those questions, and you provided some clarity this morning.
On the fentanyl issue, do you see that coming out of Kansas City or coming into Kansas City, or is it a little bit of both?
So the way I would describe this is, I'm going to go back to when I used to work in drug interdiction. Narcotics come to Kansas City and through Kansas City. And our interdiction squad, that's what we used to do. You're going to intercept narcotics that are to and through. So some of it's coming here to be distributed, and some of it's coming through here to go to the other parts of the United States. We are the center of the United States. That's why it was always important that we have an interdiction group to intercept that. So both, to answer your question, we see both. We strategically place our people in places to capture or intercept narcotics that we know is going to be on our streets in Kansas City, and then we have another group that works with other individuals around the United States, other interdiction groups, that it could be passing through Kansas City to go on to the northeast, could be going to the north of us. Very seldom do we see it going west or southeast, but most of the time in Kansas City, it's going to split here and go anywhere from straight north up I-35 to I-70 east and everywhere in that part of the United States. So we have strategically done that for years on different modes of transportation, different modes of shipping, all things like that. So when it says it's being distributed, there may be a person that gets it here and then pushes it on from somewhere else, but it's coming to and through, is the way I would describe it.
Back on the blue sheet, thanks for that additional analysis, and specifically the highlight of domestic violence, which I know Prosecutor Johnson made it imperative and a directive when she took over. That helps. It also jumps off the sheet when we look at South Patrol and Shoal Creek seeing numbers of homicides inconsistent, greater than what we have typically seen in years prior. Any reaction to what we're seeing there, or is that just an anomaly this year? Domestic violence.
Yes, sir. At the beginning of the year, Shoal Creek, I would have to go back and look at the exact number, but it was like 5 or 7 in the first few months of the year. And when the board would ask, our homicides are up, when the numbers happen that drastically, as you can see, 8, it used to be 1. When you start out with 7 homicides of domestic violence in Shoal Creek, your numbers are already high. I'll give the example. Last year, our non-fatal shootings were super high because we had 2 very large mass shootings last year, and I continually talked about how it's going to be difficult for those numbers because people look at numbers. And it's unfortunate that we thought these are human lives. These are human beings. And I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying, but it is the data that we have in front of us. It's a lot of people. And when the numbers get that way, we just think of, oh, the numbers are higher, the numbers are low. Well, that was 7 domestic violence victims to start off the year in Shoal Creek. And it's made our numbers different. But I want to put it in perspective because a lot of people will talk about, well, how do they come up with these numbers that group violence is down? Well, group violence is down because that's this group that we are targeting over here. The numbers of homicides in total are up because this group of domestic violence is way higher than it was last year. So you really have to look at the numbers to understand how we got to where we're at.
Also, I think it's of note that some of our domestic violence homicides that happened north of the river, they were in multiple deceased parties at the scene, not just one.
There was one that had 3.
A couple that had
2, yeah.
Follow-up question, and I mean, we have to face kind of the issue in the room is this prevalence of domestic violence in certain parts of our city versus, like, for example, we have gun violence in certain parts of our city. How are we trying to analyze and get our hands around, you mentioned Shoal Creek.
Sure.
But yet, I don't know if you see a lot of domestic violence in East Patrol.
So I would say, like, we work closely, Captain Hewitt is over the domestic violence unit. Like, again, I've had him present because he talked about how we're gonna start a new program with domestic violence in the prosecutor's offices, and not only just the prosecutor's offices, but also our other advocates, domestic violence advocates around the city. But example, Platte County Prosecutor's Office is working closely with North Patrol. They're working closely with the domestic violence unit on those issues in their county. Clay County's doing the same thing. So yes, we see that, but the reality of it is, or not the reality, the thing is when we see this, we take action. We're not like, what do we do? We immediately started focusing on that. There's been a door-to-door campaign in the Northland. There's been advocacy from the prosecutor's office, not with our help, but it's been in conjunction with. So to answer your question, yes, we see something happen, we take action towards it.
Can I circle back to fentanyl, that discussion? And I know we've talked about DARE, and I understand our challenges there regarding, resources. To what extent are we partnering with agencies like, for example, First Call, or just on an education? We're out there teaching people what purple fentanyl is. I mean, are we out there working with community organizations that kind of work with folks or young people or folks to help them understand the dangers of purple versus fentanyl that's cut with various chemicals? Do we do any of that? I know we get out in the community quite a bit.
We do, and actually our folks in the drug unit actually do presentations year-round. It's actually part of our requirements from our grants to do that. So again, kind of just, this is a big shuffle here. I go back to, I don't bring many of the folks from Special Investigations Division here because of what they do. I always say the people behind the scenes. This is an example of they're out there educating because they're in it every day. I know I request them, they teach it. Dr. Curls calls me quite often, and I have the drug unit go to the Metropolitan Community College and teach at the community college. They go to high schools. They're all over the city. They may not just be as advertised as one might believe on the news or other places, but we're out there in multiple locations, multiple days a week.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that presentation. I do want to know, on the fentanyl, when you go through all that and find those deaths, are they more of the younger age people or older age people that are the ones that you're finding those fentanyl deaths are?
Actually, they're from, and I'll get you the exact stats because we've done this in the several board meetings prior, but it's everywhere from teenage to, believe it or not, I haven't looked at it in the last month, but the highest rate was in the 35, I think it's 35 to 45 year range.
And male, female, does it matter?
No.
No, it's not just one versus the other. Okay.
No. So we have people in the drug unit that respond to every overdose. What happens is we have, let's say it happens at night, our general squad goes out. If there is signs of that this is an overdose, they contact the on-call from Sergeant Cramblitt's squad. That on-call person will get up, come out, process. Our goal is to track that backwards to whoever the supplier is and put charges on that person. We've had some very good success doing that. But that's something that we implemented about 18 months ago, 20 months ago. I can't remember, January. Yeah, but we implemented that about 18, 20 months ago and put that into place. Captain Lamport did a good job of organizing that, and we've been doing it ever since, and we've had real success with prosecuting people.
Mr. Chair. Yes. I may just add this first on fentanyl. what we read is pretty similar to what Colonel Niemeyer has just shared in the city's interactions with those experiencing homelessness in the streets. Part of the reason you've seen never necessarily been an easy population, but one that has shifted is because, frankly, the highs seem to be, if not stronger, but ever changing in their issues that we all continue to try to address on the preventative way. On homicides, I wanted to, and Deputy Chief Niemeyer is right, you never celebrate because even a data decline shows that there is far too much tragedy. So I'll just single out some trends. To the extent that we have seen domestic violence trends go in the wrong direction, frankly, we have seen an astonishing change in a positive direction. East Patrol, for example, are going from 2023, 49 homicides down to 34. Metro Patrol seeing that number cut in half. And it's not accidental, and it's not that there aren't still violent people. I give credit to a few different things, and several of them relate to presentations that we've already heard today. One, investigations and the important work done with that to get some of our repeat offenders off the streets, which we heard from our presentation earlier. Prosecution of these persons, which is a result of strong cases being built, and group violence reduction strategies have had a very clear and material impact on the quality of life of people living, particularly in East Kansas City. I think this department should be commended for that. It is always easy and important for us to recognize where new challenges are, but this chief and her team made an investment in making sure that we would look at things like focused deterrence, group violence strategies, and others, and they are paying real dividends for people in Kansas City, and I'd argue we're saving lives in Kansas City. And no one will see it this way, and they don't have to because we're not in the business for it. But the declines that you see in some other major American cities, right, are frankly echoed in very substantial patrol divisions in our city where for years the majority of homicides have been, where frankly they continue to be, but where I think our strategies are working. So thank you, Deputy Chief, and everyone who works under your leadership, and thank you, Chief, for making sure that we can see that type of progress.
Thank you.
Anything else? Deputy Chief Maben, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Patrol Bureau items are located under tab B in your board books. But before I begin, I've asked Sergeant Janita Harris to present a brief overview of the Police Athletic League and some of the good work that they're doing for youth in our community.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for having me this morning. I'm Sergeant Janita Harris. I am currently assigned to the Police Athletic League, which is in the Community Engagement Division, Youth and Social Services Unit. We are located at 1801 White. We're open Monday through Friday, actually sometimes more than that, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. We also have South Patrol, which hosts a PAL night every Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So here is our staff. This is our captain, Captain Saletha Solomon. Of course, I'm Sergeant Janita Harris. We also have there Timothy Harris, Alana Swaggart, and someone who has not have a picture there, and that is Officer Banks, who just joined us not too long ago. We're excited to have him, and I have to say a little bit about this crew. They do a lot of work continuously. We say that we're open Monday through Friday, but the reality is we do a lot of work on the weekends too. Officer Swaggart has been phenomenal in a lot of the activities that have gone on down there. Quite a few weekends she has allowed to just go by because she's at the center addressing our youth, some of their needs, and also participating in quite a few activities. Timothy Harris has also been doing the same. This is our PAL board. They do quite a bit of work, a lot of fundraising activities, a lot of work in terms of the building and maintenance with the building. But I will say this about our board. They do so much work after hours. There's not a moment in time that I don't pick up that phone and make a phone call or text message that I don't get an answer back. They do a budget every year, and this is my fault, but I'm gonna tell you, they came through like gangbusters. we decided that we wanted to send our kids to Washington, D.C., something that the chief talked about. It was not in the budget, but I will tell you, they found that money so that our kids would have an opportunity. And they've done that countless numbers of times with some of the other programs that we're striving for. So what is PAL? PAL is a program that serves as a constructive alternative to antisocial behavior and boredom during our children's developmental years and into adulthood. We do it through programming with athletics and academics. Here are some of our programs. We do basketball, boxing, soccer, baseball, flag football. We were hoping for robotics this year, but it is a 2026 program. We also offer tutoring and mentoring for our boys and girls. I will say too, in terms of basketball, so we had summer basketball. I know we just kind of switched, but I want to talk a little bit about it. Officer Swaggart took those kids out every weekend. It just ended, but they won about 6 to 7 games and took second place in one of our weekend tournaments and third place in another. Our baseball team was undefeated this year. And in terms of boxing, let me tell you something. Stephen Buckner and Coach Didi do a fabulous job. We've had one Golden Gloves winner or champion, as well as a Silver Gloves champion come out of our boxing group. We have about 60 or more kids that are always seeking to have some space down there in our boxing area, and they do an excellent job. We actually have a deal coming up this weekend. So this is kind of our organizational chart. Honestly, some of this is kind of a wish list. The STEM, the robotics, esports, and chess club, we haven't started that yet, but we're hoping to. Some of the other things that we do at the center is our wellness and resiliency, but you'll see a slide on that here shortly. We also have youth intervention and a pantry to ensure that our kids are eating during the summer times and also through the rest of the year. Not just the children, but of course the families too, because to be honest with you, when we're dealing with the youth, we're also dealing with their families. And so when that youth has an issue, sometimes it's that family that has an issue. And so that also goes into play with the rest of CED. We're oftentimes asking for assistance from SROs and from our social service workers. This is how we continue to make a difference with our pantry. To be honest with you, our pantry, we were a little low because the need was so great. We kind of anticipated that. But here recently, I know that our chief made sure that it got out in the Daily Informant. And so we've been getting some more supplies into that pantry so that we can continue to feed and assist our PAL families. Interventions, we do a lot of those. So PAL offers that. So it's somewhat of crime prevention that we do. Having a safe space for our youth, a refuge for our youth is huge. We do some strategic interventions. Whenever we hear of a problem, we will engage that youth and see what that problem is and how we can fix that issue. Sometimes it's through some kind of disciplinary action. Sometimes it's really just some conversations that have to take place to see what we can do for them and for their families. Some of our partnerships and outreach opportunities come through our school districts, not just KCPS, but Raytown, Hickman. We get kids from all the way around. We don't turn anybody away. Here recently, Newhouse, which is one of our domestic violence shelters, we've touched base with them, and they would like to start sending some of their youth over as well. We've touched base with Family Court, and we've also reached out to a lot of our neighborhoods. So we're around some apartment complexes where we've passed out a lot of our pamphlets and flyers and things of that nature. Our programs are free of charge to everyone that wants to participate. Our board takes care of all membership fees. They take care of all athletic uniforms and anything that has to do with it. There is nothing that a family member or a family would have to pay in order to participate in PAL. July. So in the month of July, we had our daily average was 52. We had 927 total visits and 25 enrollments. Last year, our numbers were pretty high. Our daily average was 70, and our total, of course, you can see it was over 15,000, and then our enrollments were 408. We do quite a bit of work, touch a lot of lives down there at the center. Our wellness and resiliency program, we have a director, her name is Amelia Ryan, but they do a lot of work to ensure that our kids are receiving the coping mechanisms and tools that are needed when they have been involved in some kind of a traumatic experience. She provides a lot of space for them downstairs where they can just sit and think, or activities so that they can work through whatever problems. This is Zariah. Zariah was one of our young people that actually attended Washington, D.C. not too long ago. Washington DC trip. These are our babies that were able to go and our staff. So we want to say thank you to the staff. One of our staff members is here that comes down every so often and helps us down with buyback. That's Sergeant Armstead. But they all went to Washington DC for a cultural and educational experience. This was the one that was not in the budget, but they found the money for, and we are truly grateful for that. One thing that I would say is I've had a lot of opportunities on the department to work in various different spaces, different assignments. And this by far has been not only the most challenging, but the most rewarding. And I think it's because you're staring the future in the face every single day. And I know that our staff knows that, not just our board, not just the people that are assigned down there, but our volunteers and our PAL staff members. We know that when we are looking at those children, we're looking at the future dead in the face. And so some of those conversations that are happening after hours is because we realize that if we don't pour into these children, that there is something far worse that could possibly happen to them. So every kid that comes into that center knows that they are welcome there, that they're gonna receive a meal there, that they're gonna have a listening ear, that we're going to pour and mentor into them. I heard someone talking about some of the youth earlier, and I think some of the homicides that have occurred. When we realize that their tomorrow is the most important thing. There was a lady, her name was Marva Moses, and she said, you'll know what a nation and what a people think of their country by what they do for their youth and how they pour into that youth. And I can honestly tell you that our department is pouring in as much as we can into the youth of tomorrow. I am a person that would tell those kids, if they were here today, the sky is the limit. And it is our job to make sure that you achieve it through opportunities and through pouring into you and through mentorship. But more importantly for everybody in the room today also, that what we do and the decisions that we make and how we deal with those children trumpets throughout eternity. And I think that is why oftentimes our officers are giving up those weekends and giving up those nights. I actually got an email last night because one of our kids made a phone call to Officer Swaggart. And so she sends an email, and I saw it early this morning. So they're reaching out day in and day out, and we're trying to make ourselves available constantly. This is our contact information. Any one of us is available to assist at any point in time if you need. Any questions?
I've got just a comment. First of all, thank you for what you and your team do. I will tell you the visit that I made to the Police Athletic League, I know that the athletics are the hook, but definitely the wellness and academic work is impressive. My one question is, given the geographic expanse that you bring these children in from, how do you handle transportation issues?
We do have 3 vans now. We do pick up kids and we do take kids home. We also ask parents if they have the availability to do so because we're limited in that they would please be a participant in that as well. But we do a lot of pickup and drop off, which of course causes some of the officers to go home late, but they really typically don't mind it. So sometimes we're getting home at 9 o'clock or a little bit after, but we do offer some transportation.
Thank you for your presentation. I don't know that people have an understanding of the depth and breadth of the Police Athletic League, and so putting a spotlight on it today is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
If I could, just really briefly, the Police Athletic League has had a growing influence in that neighborhood. Just recently going to a back-to-school event, you know, there was a pallet of notebook paper, 1,500 backpacks. Like, there was a line all the way from the front of PAL all the way out to the street. And that is just a sign of how much outreach and how people feel safe coming to PAL. How we offer not just kids, but families a little bit of relief. I know how expensive you know, back-to-school items are, so that we could provide that relief to some of our families and bring them in and expose them to the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. Obviously, creating more legitimacy in a community space is just priceless. So thank you for the work that you do down there. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, amazing work. I was in PAL 20 years ago, and the programming and the work that they're doing now is just expanded on when I was there. I thought we did a good job at the time, but they've taken it to a whole nother level. And I'd like to thank Sergeant Harris and her small staff for the amazing amount of outreach that they do every day. All right, I'll move on to the median response times. We saw decreases in median response times for both priority 1 and priority 2 calls during the reporting period. Median response time for priority 1 calls was 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That's a 20-second decrease compared to June. The median response time for priority 2 calls was 11 minutes and 1 second, a 23-second decrease compared to June. Reducing response time continues to be a top priority. Traffic Division report. There were 3 fatal motor vehicle accidents in July. 1 crash resulted in 2 deaths, so in total, there were 4 fatalities during the month, compared to 15 fatalities during the previous reporting period. All 3 of the accidents in July are solved and will be presented to the prosecutor's office when the case files are completed. From January 1 to July 31, there were a total of 45 fatal crash victims this year, an 18% decrease compared to the same time period in 2024. If you look at all accidents during the time frame, there was a total of 10,337 accidents citywide in 2025, about a 1% increase compared to 2024. In an effort to reduce accidents, the Traffic Enforcement Unit has been concentrating on speeding enforcement this summer. For example, after receiving a complaint from a city council member's office regarding speeders on 71 Highway, traffic officers conducted several call-downs in July and issued 195 citations on 71 Highway between 35th and 55th Street. The division stations are also conducting traffic enforcement. In total, the department issued over 5,700 tickets citywide during the month, which is about 300 more tickets compared to July 2024. On July 27th, the department conducted a sideshow enforcement operation led by the Traffic Division and in partnership with the Missouri State Highway Patrol, Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and the Clay County Sheriff's Office. Here's a few of the results. We disrupted 4 sideshow events, conducted 17 traffic stops, issued 23 citations, including 15 sideshow and spectator citations, arrested 6 individuals for violations including disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and eluding, towed 11 vehicles, and recovered a firearm. We have additional sideshow operations scheduled over the next few months. And last but not least, our tactical response teams are now known as KCPD SWAT. There's a reason for the name change. A tactical response team and a SWAT team are both specialized law enforcement units, but they have different levels of training. A tactical response team refers to a broad category of specialized units who respond to a variety of critical incidents. A SWAT team, on the other hand, is a specific type of tactical team with additional training and qualifications. Our tactical response teams met the standards for a SWAT team, so we changed the name to better reflect their capabilities. Primary reason we chose to finally make that name change is because of World Cup 2026. We'll be working with dozens of law enforcement agencies from outside of the region, and it will be important that everyone uses standardized terminology for planning and operational purposes. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any kind of accreditation that goes with not just the name change, but you mentioned the additional training that's part of being SWAT compared to the precursor to that?
They are kind of governed by the National Tactical Officers Association, and so they'll have different levels of training and mission capabilities. So you have a Tier 1 SWAT team, Tier 2 SWAT team, tactical response team, and a perimeter containment team. One of the biggest difference between a SWAT team and a tactical response team is the ability to do hostage rescue, especially deliberate or emergency hostage rescue, and also counterterrorism response. And we have met the standards for a SWAT team for quite a while, and the guys have been asking for quite a while too. And so finally, I relented based off of World Cup 2026 coming up.
That'll be sustaining, right? That would be
Correct.
something you'd maintain after
Yes.
World Cup.
Absolutely.
Ortiz?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Deputy Chief Young, thank you so much. Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to provide today's update. I'll be covering three key areas: workforce development, academy and training progress, and crime laboratory performance. First, workforce development. As of July 31st, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department had 1,099 law enforcement officers. As previously mentioned before by our Chief of Police, on August 15th, our Chief of Police proudly swore in 3 new lateral officers. Also last week, we welcomed 35 new officers to the department. In addition, the 185th Academy class is on track to graduate on November 20th with 38 recruits. Meanwhile, the 186th Academy class began just yesterday with 32 new candidates and will graduate on March 12th. Combined, as of this morning, we have 1,132 law enforcement officers and 70 recruits in the academy for a total of 1,002 members. We're also actively processing 12 lateral candidates and currently employ 534 professional staff members. In our communications unit, 27 applicants are in the hiring process, and 2 candidates are pending job offers. These gains reflect the hard work and collaboration of our recruiters, background investigators, human resources team, and academy staff. A sincere thank you to each of them for their continued dedication. Recruitment efforts remain strong. At a recent career fair hosted at the Full Employment Council, over 20 applicants began the hiring process for various positions within the department. Our recruiters provided one-on-one support through the application process. On your screen, we have several upcoming academy testing dates, including one scheduled for Thursday, August 21st. Also, we recently hosted a women's personal safety class on August 9th. We received 175 registrations and 80 participants in attendance. This class covers essential self-defense and strategies to help participants remain alert and aware in their daily lives. Everyone shared how much they enjoy the session and how many powerful new techniques they learn. This is another example of our ongoing commitment to community safety and empowerment. Lastly, our crime laboratory continues to deliver high-quality forensic services. In the last month, they processed 5,826 items of evidence for 662 cases, which included 90 crime scenes that they processed, 320 DNA samples, 3,094 firearm-related items. These are firearms, cartridges, bullets. In addition, the lab conducted 7 tours for 63 participants, offering insight into the vital role forensic science plays in our justice system. In conclusion, the Administration Bureau remains focused on 3 strategic priorities: strengthening our workforce, enhancing community engagement, and promoting the well-being of our team. From welcoming new officers and expanding training programs to maintaining excellence in forensic science, every step we take supports these goals. Thank you again for your continued support.
going to ask an easy question. I think I know the answer to it. 35 yesterday, that's outstanding. Do we go back and look to see how they arrived to us and where our outreach and recruitment is getting traction?
Absolutely. Majority of them are coming from our employers or employees. Just word of
Is
mouth.
referrals?
Yes, yes, just word of mouth from our employees, current employees. But also half of them is also coming from our recruiters and a few of them that are coming from our social media. But it seems that our employees are the ones that are doing most of the work.
Thank you. Not surprised. Yeah.
I too have a quick question, and I believe I know the answer, but talk to us about the crime lab, because I know our crime lab is nationally recognized. We do quite a bit of regional analysis, don't we? That's just not Kansas City PD cases. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Our crime lab and our director, Kevin Weiner, is out here today. But aside from the work that they do for our department, they also do at least 15% of the work that they do processing cases and processing evidence is for other agencies within the metro area. So it's well respected, and our director, Weiner, is well respected throughout the nation for his work that he does here in Kansas City.
Thank you. Chief McCollum?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
For the Executive Services Bureau are located under tab D of your board book. Item A, budget transfers for fiscal year 2025-26. I request the following appropriations be transferred within the Police Grants Fund. The Police Grants Fund transfer moves $10,000 from commodities to personal services. The Police Grants Fund transfer adjusts appropriations to where they are needed now compared to when they were estimated in the fall of 2024 as the budget was being put together. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
Any discussion on the motion? If not, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries.
Item B, helicopter NC692 PD 3,500 hour engine overhaul. Police helicopter 692 PD is approaching a major engine overhaul for the compressor, gearbox, and turbine, which is due at 3,500 flight hours per FAA guidelines. Helicopter 692 is anticipated to reach this hour limit within the next month. 3 quotes were obtained, and Ozark Aeroworks in Springfield, Missouri was the lowest by almost $100,000. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval to have Ozark Aeroworks complete the engine overhaul for Police Helicopter 692 at the cost of $268,400.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Maybe just one question. So this is for one of our 3 helicopters. Are they all about the same?
They're in various stages. Like we just had one that was had the engine overhaul on it. So we track that closely. Right now we have 2 helicopters that are flying, and this will take, this one will be down. So
And I think I read in here, but it's down for quite a while to get the engine overhaul.
it takes about 60 to 90 days for the overhaul.
Any other questions or discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Item C, bid number 2025-3, high-speed gear vest pouches. As part of the new uniform conversion, the outer vest carrier and equipment pouches will be standardized and issued to sworn members. We conducted a review of outer vest pouches and determined that high-speed gear met our standards for durability and professional appearances. Unless you have any questions, I recommend awarding the bid for high-speed gear vest pouches to Dana Safety Supply Incorporated in the amount of up to $245,160 for the period of September 1st, 2025 through August 30th, 2026, with an option to renew for 2 additional one-year periods.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, those in favor say aye. And those opposed, motion carries.
Item D, Drug Enforcement Administration Addendum to MOU. Since October of 2022, the Board of Police Commissioners has been in a task force agreement with the Drug Enforcement Administration to combat the use and abuse of controlled substances. The DEA is now requesting to amend the agreement by increasing the number of KCPD task force officers from 4 to 9 based on past successes. This agreement supports overtime costs for each member in the amount of up to $21,740.50 per person per year. If there are no questions, I recommend acceptance of the Drug Enforcement Administration Task Force Agreement Addendum, which will remain in effect until September 20th, 2026.
Move approval. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion on the motion? If not, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
Unless you have any question, that completes my portion.
Short report this month.
I know. Went from 15 to 4, and I was initially not going to be here, so I think Major Heinen set himself up for an easy run here, so maybe I should have put him last month.
Thank you. Last meeting, Deputy Chief Young.
Nothing today. Thank you.
Good way to end it.
Going out with a bang.
Going out with a bang. You're saving it all for your successor, right? Push it off
Maybe.
Office of General Counsel, Mr. Weinert.
My report will be in closed session, but I would like to take a minute to thank Colonel Young for all his support for the Office of General Counsel over the years. He's been an instrumental partner in our work and a voice of reason and thoughtful thinking, and we will miss working with him, but we look forward to working with his successor. So, thank you.
Office of Community Complaints, no report today, I understand? Thank you. David?
Yeah, we have Joy Marie Chamberlain.
I want to make sure everybody can hear me, yes?
Yes.
2 things for the board. 2 minutes is 2 minutes, with all due respect. We had a runaway train last month, to my chagrin. Good word. Second, please speak into your microphones. We really honestly cannot hear you from the 3rd row back. Now, I want to say thank you to patrol, traffic, any and all officers who are in cars, Code 1, Code 2, or any other kind of call. You're navigating road closures, detours, Uber drivers who, gosh darn, if you didn't know, Uber drivers take precedence over Code 1, and you have to drive around them. And I'll deal with Uber drivers myself. This is all me. I just want to say thank you for all that you do, for the challenges. Every month I say to Colonel Mabin, I don't enjoy listening to the median response times because of all of the traffic congestion, detours, road closures. If we're doing a transportation and we get stuck in a road closure, it's going to take us longer. But we expect our law enforcement servants to circumvent all of that. This is my opinion. So I just want to say thank you. KCPD, prayers cover you. Remember, I love you.
No one else?
Last
That's
one.
it,
That was
David.
it.
Approval of the open session minutes from our last meeting on July 29th, and I'll note, thank you, Bethany, for pointing out there is a correction. We'll make sure that former Commissioner Kramer's name is replaced with Commissioner Hall's name. That's the only amendment.
I move, and I'll second.
Moving second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. Thank you. Mr. Kenner.
I just want to thank and congratulate Colonel Young. I've enjoyed working with you for the last 15 years. You've done yeoman's work, and it's been a true pleasure working with you. You've been an awesome officer in your position.
Commissioner Hall.
I don't have anything other than just congratulations. Thank you for all the time that you've served. The city's been better because of you being on the streets. So we appreciate what you've done for the city and the people, and I wish you well in your next adventure.
Oswald, Colonel, I want to extend my congratulations to you, and my only regret is that it was only a short period of time that I got to work with you. And certainly I want to congratulate Major Mills and look forward to working with him in the future.
Well, I'll get to you in a moment, but first, I want to thank Deputy Chief Niemeyer. You have a pattern of every meeting presenting us with one of your units sort of in depth. And the conversation today from the Career Criminal Task Force was extremely informative. And for those of us who are not career professionals here with regard to law enforcement, it's really good to understand at a deeper level the different units. So thank you so much for that. So, Deputy Chief Young. So I had the pleasure of getting to know Deputy Chief Young a couple of years ago when I was in Jeff City all year, and he and Deputy Chief McCollum were also in Jeff City for the police department. And you have been someone who I've come to be able to text and email with an issue, your professionalism, your response, but most of all, the way you carry yourself and your integrity is pretty phenomenal. So you will be missed. I just wish you all the luck in the future. I love the story about, was it your grandfather? The grandfather, your two boys, the legacy of the Young family, the young, I won't say men, but the Young family in policing, and I look forward to that continuing with your two sons. So thank you so much for everything you've done and the service you've provided.
Thanks. Well, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. Juan, thanks for taking some calls from me at odd hours with odd questions, and always being professional and giving me the information that I was looking for. And I think that's just an illustration of your dedication and commitment and knowing a great deal about this police department and having that information at your fingertips almost always. So that is not lost on me at all. And it is, I think, it's difficult to see leadership move on, but that's what we're all about. And so we're encouraged that you've also helped others grow and develop so that we can be sustainable and this department can continue on. So that's a remarkable career, and so thank you for that.